Hello there and welcome to the Three Men Weave College Basketball Podcast. Yes, the boys. We're back again. Oh my gosh, it's October 3rd. The season is so near we can taste it. But first, we're getting through our conference previews, our power conference previews. We've done the ACC, and now we're doing the Big East. 11 teams. Can't wait to discuss it all with you fellas. DePaul, Chicago's Big East team, is included in this preview. Hello, Jim. Hello,
Previewing
Matt.
Possessed.
Yeah,
Previewing
we're
Possessed.
previewing Possessed. I'll go to Matt first. Hello, Matthew. How are you,
Yeah,
Matthew?
not only is DePaul included, it's featured. There's
Yes.
just a buzz in the air. You walk around Lincoln Park up here, Kai. There's just a seething anticipation for our Demon basketball, and it's a different feeling this year. I think this year's different. I'll take the Cubs mantra. Just this year feels different
Kai, did you catch that subtle up here from our newest Lincoln
up
Park
here.
resident
That's
on
right.
the pod?
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt
Yeah.
slipping that in there. Okay. The guy lives by. No,
Ah.
I guess I won't completely out where he lives.
Ah.
I won't say that. But yes, Kai, excited to talk Big East. 11 teams. We're going to really drill in on them. DePaul is competent? Question mark. Exciting.
Yes.
Kai, we've got a big weekend ahead of us. A wedding here in
Yes.
Chi-Town. Matthias, sadly, not attending, but I'm
Who's getting married?
officiating, Kai. So really going to
Mm.
put all my podcast skills to the test up on the dais as we unite two people for the rest of their lives. I'm excited about it. You're excited about it. It is a brunch wedding during the day,
Hmm.
a new one for you. I've
Yes.
been to one and it was a blast. So we're looking forward to that, but we will hammer out the Big East before we do that.
I'm very
I've heard good things
excited.
about brunch weddings.
Yes.
It's a good concept.
It
Yeah,
should be a good time. Our Tigers are on a bye, I believe, Jim.
yeah,
And
I can confirm
and
that.
my Bears are on a bye. So it's all good, baby. It's all good.
Kai,
Should be a
so are my
great wedding.
Packers.
And
Come
Jim's
on.
pack. I'm guessing that's why he chose this weekend.
I don't think he had that much thought process
Aha.
to
I thought they were
it.
Got
playing in
lucky.
like I thought they
Yes.
were playing in like Africa or something this week. No, that wasn't. What
No,
is it?
thankfully, no. They got shipped to
Anyways.
Brazil last year. But yes, let's talk Beast.
Yes, welcome to the Big East podcast. Hello, hi. We're gonna do our standard little thing. We're gonna go through Roots Roundup. We're gonna get into every single team in the Big East. But before we do, please join the Discord. I'm skipping ahead already, fellas. The Discord promo. That's also basketunderreview.com. Every single team will be previewed by us and Will Warren in written format. You can find it there. You can find a ton of great articles from people like Jordan Majeski, Ryan Ralph, Kevin Sweeney, Eric Fawcett do a nice scout team video series. Eamon Britton has a podcast with Burr, Basket Under Review. It's really a fantastic community. You get all of Trilly's news and notes if you join the Discord. I could go on and on and on how great it is. The community is growing. It's fantastic. We're in there every single day, almost 24/7. Matthew, more like 8-2, but it's a great time.
A2.
Suggest you
A
join.
two feels right.
$10 a month. Link is in the description of the video and the podcast. Did I do a good job, fellas? Anything to add there?
Well, you said you could keep going on, and I was going to just let you go. An hour of Discord plug, hour of Basket and Review plug. That sounds like my kind of episode, Kai.
Yes, indeed. And also, of course, 3MW_CBB. That's Twitter and Instagram. Please do subscribe to the podcast. Leave us reviews. Apple iTunes reviews we will read at the end of the show. Stick around for that. We have one review today. That is all. Let's go to Roots Roundup. Jim, give us the latest news and notes, and we'll get into the Big East.
Man, can't believe Kai didn't shout out Jay Pitty, aka Joe Pasco, for the
Shout
opening
out
tunes.
Jay Pitty
Oh,
for the opening
man.
tunes. I will see
He'll be
you
at the wedding,
tomorrow.
Kai.
Yes.
You can give him a big hug. Yes, that's right.
Apologize too.
He listens to every
Yes.
episode.
He does. He listens just to the intro to make sure he gets his shout out. So we got to make sure he sneak it in there. That's not true. He doesn't listen at all. Yes, let's talk Roots Roundup news and notes. But before we do, Matt, a shout out to CBB Analytics, the Bible of our preseason previews. Just a holy grail of incredible data stuff as we get into it.
That's right, Jim. CB Analytics. I'll give you one trivia question. I'm trying to make this a theme per week. Per data via CBB Analytics. Make sure to subscribe, by the way. That's using our promo code WEAVE, WEAVE, for $40 off. You'll see those all over our awesome previews, which are coming out in heavy spurts the next few weeks before the season starts. But I will pose this question to you. Who was the worst two-man? This is why CBB Analytics asks me to do two-man, three-man, four-man, five-man. Excuse me,
Goodness.
lineup pairing combinations for on-off. Worst.
In the Big East?
In
in
the
the
Big
entire
East, two
country.
players.
in the Big
Two
East.
players in the Big
Worst
East.
two-man combination in the Big East. Is what you're
Yes.
asking.
So it
I
was on a
gotta
bad
assume
team.
it's two terrible Seton Hall players.
Yes, very good, Jim. And I would actually argue that the Seton Hall twofer surprised me of the Seton Hall.
Coleman and Dual.
Very good, Kai. Isn't that shocking?
Wow.
I
Wow,
know.
Look at
Dual. I
me.
think Dual's
I think
bad.
Duval was a big part of that one because I'm a big Coleman guy. But yeah, the Gary Duval experiment. Nice defensive player, I think, at times, but offensively, just sort of a train. Anyway, Seton Hall, not a good team. Hopefully better this season. Maybe
Yes.
not.
I'm happy that Prince Oligbe avoided getting destroyed there, but
He was
he was
right,
going to be
Jim. He
part of
was
my
right
guess.
there.
So.
He was
Okay, good.
right there.
I mean, most of the Pirates were sadly not a pretty year for them. Potentially a
Seton Hall
bounce
shade
back.
aside,
We'll
thank
see.
you, CBB Analytics. Please sign up today. Jim, back to you.
Yes, promo code Weave. All right, let's talk news and notes. There's not a lot here. Only 11 teams. This should be a little snappier than last week. How about that? Kai, the big news break, not really news, is that Ross Dellinger of Yahoo and On3 came out with the potential format for the possible / likely 76 team tournament. I don't think there's any surprises here. It'd be a 12 team or a 12 game opening round on Tuesday and Wednesday, adding a second site to go with Dayton. I just like don't even have the heart to engage with this, the energy to engage with this, because I know it's coming. There's no point in debating the merits. Do you have any thoughts on this, Mr. McEwen?
Nope. It's gonna happen. The selection show will be weirder, I guess. And now let's see who's playing in Dayton, and just goes on and on and on and on.
And who's playing in
And St.
Denver
Louis.
or Salt Lake City, or I don't know. I was theorizing potential candidates for the opening round, and Omaha made a lot of sense to me. Passionate fan base, no pro team, centrally located, so teams can travel to new places. But somebody made a good point that they love TV markets and they want to play a game at 11 p.m. Eastern, so it's probably going to be out west. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, Jim. Whatever.
Yeah, I would think Vegas is too far, but I don't know. They can ship teams anywhere. Matthew, excitement level for this is at a what on a scale of 10?
My whole take from the beginning was like, I don't care if they expand it to 500 teams, as long as like it's a filter into the final bracket format. And so that's really all I hold sacred at this point.
Yep. Just a
and
reminder
we'll
that it
see.
already is like a 340 team tournament.
Right. That's good. You said I agree with that. And again, the spots that I think it might be cool if an extra mid major or two gets there. But for any power conference team that makes it into this little stupid sliver of a side door, you don't in the banners. No banner should be hung for this. So treat it as you're expected to be treated. Power conference versus mid major. That's my take on that.
Wouldn't you have loved to see SMU in the tournament last year in Ohio State?
I know. I was just thinking like the great
Yay.
fun, like playing power conference runs. Like how much do we talk about the old USC run of I don't know what year is that, or UCLA Bryce Alford? Like we always talk when great college basketball fun tournament runs. Those are the teams that we remember with most enthusiasm. So
No,
yeah,
exactly.
whatever.
Yep, it's going to happen. Be ready for it, and maybe it'll be a fun TV event. I don't know. I'm not going to get too excited about it. All right. In other news, there are no injuries to report. Really, we had a pretty injury heavy update last week. Very excited about that, especially this time of year. Teams going through full practice. It's just nice that we don't have to update and add a couple guys to the out for the season. I do believe Maryland lost Raquise Passmore for the whole year, but I'm not sure how much he was actually expected to play. Kansas transfer that was definitely going to come off the bench. So that's something, but it's at least not somebody that's going to knock out an iconic name or a starter for a tournament team type of situation. In waiver news, Tyon Grant Foster received a practice waiver? Question mark. I don't know what's going on here. Matthew, they're still reviewing his case, but at least he is eligible to practice, potentially a positive sign towards him getting to play. I think there were a lot of fans and prognosticators alike that are starting to wonder whether it was going to happen at all for Mr. Grant Foster, despite that he played a junior college year, he had a COVID year, he had actual heart trauma and like the most intense injury of anybody. I think he should be getting one, and I don't know that there's like a lot of signs that he won't, other than how long it's taking. But I guess encouraging that he's practicing at least.
Yeah, I just think it's weird that they're in this. You'd like to know if it's not going to happen now. The holding pattern feels really disruptive, especially that he hasn't been practicing. Like now, so he's going to practice. And if you've seen Tyron Grant Foster play, he impacts the game in a loud way. You feel his presence on the court on both ends. So I don't know. Offensively, that would concern me maybe a little bit as the
Matt,
longer
how
it lingers.
if he doesn't get the waiver, how does that impact your Gonzaga ranking? I believe you're the highest of the Weavers on Gonzaga in our top 50 countdown.
I haven't seen enough Steel Venters practice tape, Jim. That's my dependency on that question. So I need to see some behind the scenes. Only the good makes, of course. But yeah, I mean, Venters is going to be key. If like Venters has a setback and you don't have TGF, then it starts to feel a little thin. But man, they are deep though. They are deep. It's a deep
Just
team.
very different players.
It
Venter's
is.
known as his a shooter coming off a torn ACL and a torn Achilles, and then you've got Grant Foster, more defender, ball dominant offensively. Can he be a complementary threat? We'll see. I thought his wing defense and switchability was going to be a major factor if you're trying to play Graham Ike and Braden Huff together. So keeping a close eye on that waiver situation in Spokane. Other random news and notes, just a quick note that preseason media days are happening. So you're going to get a lot of storylines, some true, some bogus. You've got some odd all conference decisions. Most of all, Kai, I just want to continue to beat the drum that any all conference team that has more than 5 players is silly and dumb and should be mocked.
I agree, Jim. What's Big 12 is like 10 team, first team, all conference.
Yeah, WCC's always had 10. It's
Yeah.
just dumb.
We stick to 5-man teams. At 3-man weave, you'll see in all our previews, it's 3 5-man teams as the basketball gods intended.
Integrity. That's what we bring
Integrity.
to our all conference teams. Yes.
Integrity.
We are playing as many players as you have on the court for a single team. That's what we got going for us. It's not hard. Come on, folks. Participation awards this generation. Get off my lawn. All right, Kai, that is it for Roots Roundup. As I said, it is quick, in and out. Back over to you for the Big East. Go ahead and set the table for us here. The league that made Madison Square Garden magical.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, yes. Everyone loves the Magic. Yes, yes. Matthew does too. The Big East. This year, fellas, super top heavy. We're going to start off with that. Only 4 teams made our top 50 countdown, which you can see at basketunderreview.com. UConn and St. John's, who will talk about the clear favorites. I would say there's a pretty clear tier 2, which I'll get into in a second. And then it's kind of everybody else. We got new coaches. Kevin Willard takes over at Villanova after leaving Maryland in not so great circumstances. Wasn't really a secret that he was leaving Maryland as they were in the tournament and facing Colorado State in the round of the second round, was it? When it was broken, I believe.
Yeah, basically like before that game. And then going into the Florida game, I think like the air was out of the balloon. Maryland, like the second half of that game was so bizarre. I remember they subbed out all their starters down, I think 12 with 2.5 minutes left. It was a weird white flag concession where I think everybody was like, let's just end this. Let's stop.
Everyone wanted out. And I guess apparently Richard Pitino did too from New Mexico because Sean Miller parlayed an underachievement at Xavier into Texas. So congratulations, Sean Miller. Little Richard Pitino takes over at Xavier. We'll talk about how that roster doesn't look very good right now. Key questions this year. I just had a couple fellas. You can please chime in. We only have 11 teams here. Will Seton Hall ever be good again? Will DePaul finally take a leap? Every single year we talk about DePaul being back. They haven't finished outside the bottom 2 outright since 2015. I just looked back. That's a decade. That's crazy. Rosters of Villanova and Xavier look really, really bad compared to their program norms. Marquette, once again, had no transfers, a lot of continuity. And then we talk hot seat maybe a little bit. Kim English, Thad Matta, heck, Shaw Holloway if Seton Hall is dumb. Matthew, do any of those questions intrigue you? Do you have some of your own?
I think the story of the year is Georgetown. Like, I think in terms of a hot, maybe I don't know what the level of temperature is on Cooley's tush, but it certainly feels like, all right, it's time, Ed. Like Georgetown, been there a few years.
2 years.
Momentum's been jerky too. Sorry, it's his 3rd year.
Yeah.
It does feel like a long time because the whole thing started as a saga, like it felt like in the winter of the year before. I think that's like the headlining team to watch this season is Georgetown. Can they make an actual move in terms of conference and NCAA tournament relevancy?
I'm sure they're hoping so. We can discuss them in detail. Yeah, Georgetown's fascinating. Kai Seton Hall, like Shaheen Holloway, last year's Seton Hall team was a St. Peter's team. Like outside the top 300 in offense, top 100 in defense, ugly, disgusting. You can't have a St. Peter's team in the Big East. I don't care what the budget situation is. You can't be that bad. And so I don't know if he's like starting to throw in the towel, if he's looking around at other jobs. It's bizarre. It's interesting you mentioned Mata for hot seat. I looked this up recently. He has beaten his Ken Palm preseason rank all 3 seasons,
Yeah,
which is
yes,
wild.
yes.
Like the expectations are just low. It's hard to get talent there. Yes, fully agree. Kim English is on the hot seat. I think Providence fans would generally all agree with that. I don't know, Kai. It's a less enticing Big East season for me because, as you mentioned, this league is like an upside down pear. It's so heavy on top with very little heft to it. The middle and the bottom are both not very good.
It's odd. The NIL is it's affecting this league. Coaches, not
Well, that's the whole thing, right? I think
Yes.
people assume that the lack of football. I think that if that's going to be a positive, that they don't have to share revenue with football, I think that effect is for sure is yet to play. Maybe next year, years after, we'll see. But this upcoming season, it still feels like the Big East is kind of like a AAA in terms of talent and money spending for big fish in the portal relative to the SEC and the Big Ten, frankly, and the Big 12, I guess, to some degree.
How does UConn do it? Football and basketball at the top of both sports? Goodness.
I have 2
Impressive.
questions, Kai.
Yes.
They're related. How many times do St. John's and UConn lose to non-St. John's and UConn teams? And then also, going along with it, how shocked would you be if that's not the top 2?
I would be really shocked if that was not the top 2. How many times they lose? Well, UConn haven't they lost to Seton Hall like 3?
I think 3 of the last 4 or something like
That's-
that. Yeah.
that's crazy to me. I think UConn and St. John's both drop overall 2 or 3 games apiece in the Big East.
Okay.
Does that math
All right.
even work? I think that's what I'm going to go with without doing math.
Oh, it is 4 straight for losing to Seton Hall.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
had to slip that in with as bad as Seton Hall was last year. But, yeah.
No, I think the theme is it's a kind of a high number because just all these teams, coaches know each other so well. Like there's a reason why UConn was so dominant, but then couldn't struggle with Seton Hall, right? I just think there's a real, even the bottom dwellers have a little bit of maybe a leg up against Patino and Hurley because they know it. So, I mean, Shaka too, to that matter. So I just think there's going to be if there's elite non-conference performance by the top teams, I think you'll see some bumps in the road along the road in conference play before the tournament. So, I mean, kind of, I think brings the non-con to like super importance, like that you have to win November and December for this league.
I'll sneakily go the other way on that. Like with 2 straight years, we've had an 18-2 team atop this league. I think the separation is like just as wide for both of those. St. John's and UConn, when you combine coaching and roster, like I think they're a real clear leg ahead. I'll say they lose a combined 5 Big East games, which would be like 3 to not themselves. That's my guess.
Yeah.
I might go 6. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go lower. Lower.
Lower than 5?
Yes.
Which would mean lower than 3 games to anybody besides
Yes.
UConn. And
Yes.
okay. All right. Cool.
Okay.
It's going to be a fun adventure.
All right. Standings, and let's get into team previews here. Tier 1 for me, we've given it away. UConn and St. John's. I went UConn over St. John's by a hair. We'll discuss in a little bit. I like the Huskies this year. What can I say? Tier 2, very clear for me as well. I went Marquette at 3, fellas, and Creighton at 4, which I believe is a flip-flop in our top 50 votes. Yeah, I'm in on Marquette, the continuity train. Tier 3, it's a big tier, and frankly, you can include the 2 at the bottom, maybe, if you squinted. But for me, it's 5, Providence, Georgetown, Villanova, Butler, and Xavier at number 9. And then Tier 4, rounding up the caboose, DePaul, and Seton Hall, the rhyming tier is what we'll call it. Do you want to discuss tiers, or do you want to get right into the nitty-gritty of the previews?
I think the tier 3 teams, I'm wondering if any of them have the upside deep within them to crack a tier 2, right? That's sort of where I'm...
The question I wrote was who has the highest upside in tier 3. So.
Yeah, and I think it might be Georgetown. I think it might be Town.
It's Providence for me.
Georgetown or Providence, I think, for ceiling.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, let's get into it. UConn is where we're going to start. I almost said Villanova. We haven't started with Villanova in 8 years, something like that. It's been a
Since
while.
Jay Wright went into the wilderness, Kai.
Yes. Well, the reason I like this team so much, it fits so well together. A+ roster construction again by Dan Hurley. Definitely title contenders again. He even says so in his new book, Never Stop, by Dan Hurley. How he overcame
Never stop, never stopping.
how he overcame having one of the most famous high school coaches ever as his dad and became a college basketball coach. Dan Hurley, Never Stop. Okay. Offense is going to be elite, like top 5 good in the country. That's where I'm gonna set the line. Top 5, top 10, I think, is pretty much a lock offensively. I love Silas Demery. Braylon Mullins is lights out. Terrace Reed, we expect a huge jump. Caravan and Ball returning about as steady as you can get. And the backup point guard situation is pretty darn good with Malachi Smith from Dayton. The defense is going to be the question mark. Who comes in after Reed at the 5? Is it Ryby, the freshman, 7-footer, not really known for his defense? Is Solo Ball going to improve defensively? That's going to be their limiting factor. Jim, kick it to you for some UConn.
Kai, can you tell me who had the 2 best net ratings on UConn last year?
Net ratings. You mean
Per CVB Analytics.
On-off net ratings?
Yes, exactly.
Terrace Reed?
No, it was Samson Johnson and Liam McNeely. Can you tell me who had the 2 worst net ratings on the roster?
Solo Ball.
Ball and Caravan. Bottom 2. I'm not going to go ahead and like paint a picture of doom because of that. It just made me raise an eyebrow because those 2 guys were really good last year, and Caravan is typically in my head like a major winner, contributor to winner, makes the extra pass, makes the rotation defensively, a much better defender than he gets credit for. Like he's got real length and blocks jump shots randomly. But the rest of the team, not very good defensively. Diarra struggled to stay in front. Solo Ball is a legitimate turnstile, or he was in the past. Maybe he'll be better. We'll see about that. But agreed, Kai, the Terrace Reed breakout is coming. I think he probably should play 28 minutes a game here rather than 20 if he can stay on the court with foul trouble. They need to avoid letting drivers just bomb at him where he has to challenge a bunch at the rim and is at risk of fouls. But I'm taking inside top 5 on offense if you're giving me that choice, either inside or out. I think them and Purdue have the highest floors and ceilings offensively with the systems, the talent, the coaches, the game planning they have that they combine. I believe, Matt, I had St. John's a touch higher in our top 50 votes. I think maybe 1 spot. But I have come around to UConn and actually have a bet on UConn to win the Big East and think they are narrowly the better team than the Red Storm.
My take is a lot of defense. Like Hurley, this team's going to defend. That's all they've been focused on this summer. We're going to look different than last year. And I think he's right. And I'm a believer. I have them rated higher than St. John's. So I have all my chips in. But like the roster doesn't look way different than it does a year ago, right? I think the key is at the spots at point guard, right? You need Demery's size, and he's a good defender, I think, by all accounts. Disruptive, he's big, he's physical. So you put him next to you can hide Ball a little more. You can be matchup specific with kind of managing his defense. My thing is McNeely was such an underrated defender. I thought he was maybe their best defender at times last season. And now you bring in Mullins, who I think is by all accounts supposed to be, a good defender, but again,
He's
freshman.
feisty,
but
skinny.
Probably a downgrade, maybe, just him versus McNeely. So I think you're really banking on just some collective, improvement defensively from some key guys. And obviously Terrace Reed playing bigger minutes should help. And obviously, Demery at the point's really the key guy. That's you have to be tougher at the point of attack. I don't know. I'm in. I'm just, as I look through, I'm like, I don't. It does feel like that improvement has to come more from like a collective focus and emphasis than like some crazy personnel turnover. Because there's not a ton of it. Like it has to be more organic improvement.
I buy coaching staff digging in and improving defensively.
Yeah, right. That's where I am too.
I buy that. Also, Demery. For me, Jara did fine. Hassan Jara. Demery's way better in my mind. I never thought Hassan Jara.
He's a game changer.
Starting point guard caliber, title contender type of player. Yeah.
Is there any chance we're over forecasting a leap? This team, they were outside the top 15 when Liam McNeely got hurt, outside the top 30 when he returned, and they never got back into the top 30. It's not a top 30 team last year. It's Demery and internal improvement enough? I kind of think so. I just think the offense is going to be
The team I saw play Florida felt like a top.
Yeah.
Like that was like that's a good team. It that had flaws, but that was a good team. I think if you're from that point jumping into next season, I feel a little better about it. With Kai said, I think I'm just frankly stubbornly clinging to the coaching. Hurley's mentioned some schematic adjustments this offseason, so I do think there's going to be some smart adjustments made to work within the personnel constraints they had, which are less than last year with the guys.
You're doing what? You're doing what to the coaching? You're clinging to it. Oh boy, we're having fun here this morning.
Are we gonna start the Dan Hurley can't coach without Donovan Clingan and NBA level talent? I'm not.
No, I'm still beating. They can't coach without Luke Murray and Kamani Young, but he still has them, so it doesn't matter.
All right, that was UConn. Never stop. Never stop.
Never stop. Never stopping.
St. John's, number 2. This roster is absolutely stacked on paper. Zuby Ejiofor is my player of the year in the Big East. I think that's not a super controversial opinion, but that is mine. Dylan Mitchell, my defensive player of the year. I think he's the best defender in this conference. One of the best defenders in the country. Incredible portal get. I think Ian Jackson is going to be awesome in year 2. I don't think he's getting enough press. I think he's going to really break out. John Rothstein had a video yesterday about how good he was. Sellers is good. Hopkins was already a first-team Big East player in this conference. Is he healthy? That's a big question. Joseph Sannon was a massive recruit. This is year 2 for him. Dylan Darling was Big Sky Player of the Year and is a steady point guard if they need it. Can Darling do it full-time as point guard? I know Pitino kind of hand-waved the point guard position this offseason. I believe that is totally coach speak, and point guard really matters. In fact, it still is the most important position on the floor. But I do believe they can get around it in some way. By committee, Ian Jackson. Darling plays a lot of minutes. The defense, though, Matthew, is what I'm really gravitating towards. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome, and the offense will definitely be improved from last year. That means this team is top 10 good in the analytics and a title contender for me.
The question for me is a little bit of positional usage. Bryce Hopkins, is he going to play like 3? Or is he going to play like a 4, which I think is where he was most effective at Providence, because his team is really deep at wing and forward, as you'd expect any Pitino team to be. So I think there's some lineup juggling that Pitino has to solve there. I tend to agree with Pitino, though, on the whole point guard thing. But that only holds true. Point guard doesn't matter if you have league guards that are multi-skilled, that can create, shoot, facilitate, keep the ball moving. So, I mean, that's where it's like, how much do you like Ian Jackson and Oziah Sellers as like creators and ball movers on top of their shooting scoring ability? If you believe in that, then I think he's right. If you don't, then maybe you're going to buy some Dylan Darling stock, because I do think he actually might have a role to play on this team. And I thought he was good. I'm not sure his game translates really well, but I think in spot minutes, kind of like a poor man's Davion Smith, kind of a change of pace guy, get in there. So it's a deep roster, Jim. There's optionality here. I think I kind of like where, does it fit on paper right now? I don't know, but I think it could fit in time.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd fit positionally, like you said, but defensively, as Kai mentioned, like I think Dylan Mitchell's the best defender in this conference too. He's up and down the lineup, does whatever you want him to. Remember, he was like maybe going to go pro after his freshman year, and here he is playing his 5th season in college hoop. You combine him with Zuby, 2 of probably the 5 best defenders in the entire conference, plus Pitino on the sideline, plus positional size. It's going to be a really good defense, even if a lot of the newcomers tilt towards scoring. Yeah, I have some questions there too. Like Sannon, Jackson, Darling are all like ISO. I want to get to my pull up. I want to be able to dribble off the bounce and attack whoever's in front of me. But that's kind of what they did a little last year. They just had less offensive talent on the roster doing it. Like guys that lived in the mid-range. Zuby's going to be awesome. You don't have to run a lot for him. He'll score a little in the post, but he's going to eat on the glass, get to the line that way, just be a play finisher. When the defense is rock solid and there's enough offensive firepower and a coach on the sideline that I think is one of the best to ever do it, Kai, you add all of it together and I'm with you. This another top 7-ish team right there with UConn, national title contender, really good two-way team. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the defense because of like bringing in Sannon and Jackson, but like you have an unbelievable core inside, a great coach, and size. That's enough.
Yeah, they're huge. And so this team was 2 in defense last year in KenPom, 68 in offense. So are they top 40 offense this year? I think so. Top 50 for sure. and they're
I'll
still
say
top 10 defense for me.
31st in offense and 7th in defense or
Yeah,
something
okay.
like that. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, and I think maybe even top 5 defense again, and you could definitely get in the top 25
Yeah.
offense. Like it could be a very, very scary team.
Yeah, I guess if it's 31st and 7th, it's not enough. So I'll say like 24th and 5th to be
Okay,
top 7. Yeah.
They're shooting here. I mean, Ian Jackson, I think
Yeah.
is crazy talented.
it's good.
I think he's gotten too much like his analysis this offseason has been slanted too much around he's not the point guard they needed. But I just think in a vacuum, man, I think he could be awesome this year.
Yeah, I do think point guard's an issue. Matthew's spoiled with one of the best teams ever last year, Duke, having not necessarily a true point guard, and he's a Duke guy, but it doesn't work for 99% of teams not having.
I agree. But we're talking about elite top 10, top 15 teams with the abundance of riches they have and the multi-positional talent they have. I do think that you can talk about those teams' point guard situations in a different light. That's my general opinion on that.
I want to see a little bit of like Dylan Mitchell facilitator. Last 5 games of the year, he had 6, 3, 2, 5, 4
I know he's got
assists.
skill.
Like,
I
I
agree.
think you can make him like a dribble handoff guy with some of those guys that want to score off the bounce, get them moving as they get the ball. And if Dylan Mitchell's rolling down the lane as a lob threat, I'm scared as a defense because he is a mega athlete.
All right, fellas, let's head to tier 2, the Marquette Creighton tier. We're going to start with Marquette, the continuity kings. Most everyone is back once again. However, there's a tiny loss in a guy named Cam Jones, who was in the 99th percentile in net on-off rating per CBB Analytics. Yeah, that matters. I'm just bullish on the Shaka development. I think Chase Ross is going to be really good this year. I love that Sean Jones is healthy. He is a little lightning bolt on the court when healthy. Gold, Lowry, Parham, Owens, all very solid to me with potential for more, especially those sophomores. There's a lot to like, in my opinion. A very high floor team. And also, I think what gets picked on a lot is, oh, you can't have good defense with Ben Gold at the 5. Well, they just had a really good defense last year with Ben Gold at the 5. So actually, I think you can. I think this team is going to be better than last year, actually, in KenPom, would be my bold prediction, weirdly, even though they lose Cam Jones, Jim.
Better than 29th. Interesting. A little Ewing theory, Kai going forward with Cam Jones. Yeah, I think Gold is like a fine defender here, but like, when you're pressuring, you're going to be a little exposed at the rim with him as your backstop. But I think not going into the portal affected their ceiling more than their floor.
For sure.
As you mentioned, high floor team, internal development. I think a lot of these guys are going to be very content with their roles and know what they're going to be. And that helps. You don't have to sort that out. I do think Stevie Mitchell is also a big loss with his connectivity, his defensive prowess. Like he was a demon on the ball. He made a lot of winning plays. Like, oh, guy threw up an air ball. Somehow Stevie Mitchell was waiting under the basket to lay it in. Like that's just constantly in the right place at the right time. But I believe in Ross, the development. A lot hinges on Sean Jones. I know he's been healthy for a while off the ACL tear, but this offense has been really reliant on its point guard for multiple years now under Nevada Smith. You need Jones to be like a true guy. Can he create? Can he create for others? That's the question, Matt. But there's deep wing options, and I think the defense will be really good too. Just the pressure with Ross and Jones. So it's enough for me. I have them in this tier. I do have Creighton ahead, but also in this tier 2 with Creighton, like Kai.
I just felt like this team ran out of gas last season. I mean, it started KenPom, so they were 22nd to start the year, and then they were basically between 10 and 12 all the way through the end of January.
They won
right?
at Maryland and beat Purdue at home back to back. Like that's really
right?
good.
And then we're 6-0 to start Big East play, 9-1 at the end of January. And schedule got hard. A lot of that was scheduling alignment, but like I do think this team's deeper. Last team, the bench minutes was the lowest, I think, in Shaka's. It wasn't like it was crazy thin, but it was the mileage, the burden on Cam Jones. When you watch them play, you could sense it. Just he had to do so much. I think while I like Stevie Mitchell, I like the balance of Ross and
Shawnee
Jones more than just like all of it on one creator's plate. And from everything I read this offseason, Jones is healthy and like a Tasmanian devil unleashed, and that's exactly what I want to hear about. I love that. I think the freshmen are probably going to be better than we think. I don't know how many are going to play big minutes. I'm sure I haven't done my freshman due diligence here. I'm sure there's one or two that Marquette fans will scream at me as being an impact guy, but I'm pretty in on Marquette this year. I think, I know it's tough to lose a guy like Jones, but I think Ross has the skill set to step into that kind of role.
I think
I've
Nigel
just
James is the freshman that Marquette guys are mostly
It's
excited
getting
about.
real hyped.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
another.
and remember the hype for Demarius Owens last year, and it
Yeah,
never worked out. But those guys that miss all of preseason with injury, like he did, they're always behind, and it's just hard to throw him in. And he never fully figured it out. But I think the talent is there. And between him and Parham, you're going to have two really big contributors in that like big wing forward tweener mold.
I was gonna do a split of how what their shooting. I think they got ice cold late too. Like I think the fatigue really took a toll on their shooting. They just could not make shots. The offense felt very like got to get to the score inside, and it didn't. Yeah, shooting is a key to this year.
Well, they didn't. I mean, they didn't have a lot of like super knockdown guys last year, which I think is part of it. It's like Cam Jones, like Mitchell Ross, and Gold, I guess, was the best shooter. But yeah, Matt, starting February 1st, they shot 32% from three,
Okay,
252nd in the country. Not great.
not
Might have been
good.
even worse
very
if you
okay.
extend it longer.
Very
But
astute.
yeah,
Lowry, I like Lowry. Little eye
As do
test
I.
guy for me.
Yeah,
Knock
yeah.
down some J's. Be nice.
I'm in. I'm in. And they are slightly above this next team, Creighton for me. Although if you had Creighton 3, I would never blame you, and I would maybe even agree with you in certain bars over drinks. Uh, we rank them as such. We rank them as number 3 in our top 50 countdown. The story with them, well, the Owen Freeman injury is concerning to start. One of their big transfer splashes. I believe he underwent surgery on his knee, meniscus.
Yeah, I got his meniscus trimmed and
Yeah,
shaved, so
that's
he's
gross.
it's still not cleared for. I didn't think expected to be cleared for full contact for another like 3 weeks, and this is start of October when we're saying this.
Yeah, so a little thin up front. They brought in Kareem Conan from, I believe he's Turkish. They brought in
Yep.
Dimitrijevic, who is fine.
Who might redshirt?
I think he's going to redshirt, actually. And then Jason Green, undersized forward, who I actually kind of like, is coming back. So the front court is the concern, especially if Freeman is out. I think Josh Dix is a stud. Brought him in from Iowa as well. Blake Harper is a question mark. He was MEAC, at least rookie of the year. I don't know if he won player. I don't think he won player of the year. Nick Graves at point guard is a massive concern for me. I know he scored a lot at Charlotte, but that team was awful. I don't love his shot selection. Creighton fans are expecting a Fader Zugic leap. I can definitely see it. I can definitely see a Jackson McAndrew leap, and frankly, I expect that as well. It's a high floor team for me once again, just like Marquette. Excuse me. I still can't really see them eclipsing number 2, even though Greg McDermott has been fantastic in this conference. Matthew.
Yes. I think it's a high floor team because the offense is just going to be so good. It kind of feels like an old Creighton team, a pre-Culk Creighton team. And Freeman being healthy is going to be pretty critical here. But like guys like Swartz, I think is super underrated. We'll see what some of these bench guys bring. And then we've talked. I think Josh Dix is like the very underrated piece that they added here. I think he can be better than people think, and then maybe curve my skepticism around Nick Graves and Blake Harper. I just didn't see a lot of him play last year, so I could be totally sleeping on Blake Harper. I apologize. I just didn't see a ton of him in the MEAC, but maybe he provides some defensive.
I think he's a question.
Okay.
Question. Yeah.
And then Jackson McAndrew, Jim, I think he's like the big ups. I think he's going to be an absolute breakout. He's got a little more versatility than I think it's just the the long rangy wing shooter that he looked like last year. So I like this team, and I think it's a high floor because I think the offense will absolutely be fantastic in a weird way.
Yeah, they're going to score. I think like top 15-ish offense, maybe top 20. I'll borrow a stat I said on Stats by Will and Jim. Kai, in the 5 years that Greg McDermott, I confuse that all the time. The 5 years that he had Ryan Kalkbrenner, he had 5 top 45 defenses. And in the 19 years he did not have Ryan Kalkbrenner, he had 1.
Yep.
So as Matt said, it's a throwback Creighton type of team. That is what I expect as well. Maybe you get a lot more out of Zugic. That's sort of interesting. And I was just kind of thinking about McAndrew and whether he actually does have the upside that we're thinking. I mean, last year, like 80% of his shots were threes. Can he be like Steve Novak when Marquette? Like,
I had the exact same thought too. That was like my comp when I watch him play because he has that like, wow, he's really big, but he does move kind of fluidly and just shoots the absolute crap out of it.
yeah, and as a freshman, like his numbers were all, lighted up shooting, but can he add a little bit more as like a mid-post guy or, attack a mismatch with his height, shoot over the top? That I think would be another degree of improvement for him. He has great like all-in-one metrics last year, but I'm sort of like because of it, just like the Creighton overall defensive numbers. When you take out Kalkbrenner, I'm gonna it's going to look a little different. I think they'll play similarly, but Freeman is not Kalkbrenner as a rim enforcer, a verticality guy that doesn't foul. So we'll see how it all works out on that end. I think that's where you got to be skeptical, but they're going to score and they're going to turn some games into jump shooting contests, and they got some really good shooters. So they're going to be hard to beat in Omaha at the very least.
Defense predictions, round the horn quickly. They were 44 last year in Ken Palm. Jim.
86th.
Woo, Matthew.
Yeah, I'd say 75th.
Yeah, I was thinking 75 as well in my head. Yeah.
This is kind of like an Iowa type thing where, yeah, it's an Iowa thing where you got to be, if you're inside the top 100, then that's a good thing, right? You got to avoid like a calamity. I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, to McDermott's credit, he's not been outside the top 100 since 2015. Obviously, he had Kalkbrenner for 5 of those years, but 5 of them he didn't. So
that's good. Okay, that was Creighton. Now we go to Tier 3, the big mess. Who is going to rise up and make the tournament and make Big East a 5?
None of them.
Team, 5-bid league. I tend to agree. If any team can do it, I think I'm going to choose Providence. They are my number 5 team. Jason Edwards from Vanderbilt could average 20 points per game. He leads a pretty competent roster. I think Kim English is going to let him do basically whatever he wants to do. Offense is going to be the question mark. They're excited about bringing in Tibaldi, assistant coach who used to be with the Cavs. He actually used to be on Missouri staff when Kim English played there. So a little bit true, Jim, for you and me. They get Ryan Mella back. They get Oswin. I'm not going to pronounce his last name back. It's a nice, solid 1-2 punch in the front court. Mella actually impressed me last year coming out of kind of nowhere as a freshman. And then Sellers and Davis are solid adds. It's definitely a potential tournament team for me. I can see the roster working in some lights. Jim, the offense, though, has always been the question. I don't think Kimmy's had a top 80 offense in his entire coaching career, which spans like 5 years. But maybe Tibaldi solves that. Maybe having Edwards helps as well.
Yeah, his best offense was last year, 87th. And 87th. That was like a nightmare of a team. Now, the shot selection's always been a little bit maximized. Like they were like 8th percentile in mid-range field goal attempt rate last year. Like they really tried to be rim and 3 focused. And maybe that's why they cracked the top 100. It's just a matter of having like the right amount of talent. And I do think there just wasn't a lot of flow to the offense. Like, it was, all right, there's a top 15 ISO rate last 2 years. A lot of like, let's just kind of stand and hope there's a creator. And Jason Edwards can do that, but I think Tibaldi should get things more like guys flying off of pin downs into handoffs with a little flow on the weak side, some distracting action. I think it should look smoother on that end. And we've always sort of believed in Kim as defensive coach. Last year, kind of notwithstanding, it collapsed into oblivion last year, but Oswin's a great rim protector, really impactful in that. And as a sophomore, I think that should help. Jameer Jones, a big athletic addition in the freshman class. I don't think Neal is a good defender, but he's kind of like the front court facilitator. There's pieces here, Matthew. I just am really skeptical of it equaling the sum of its parts or likely falling short of that. And there's the whole, like, if it starts to go south, does it snowball? Because the hot seat factor, Providence fans really unhappy with last year, like their worst season in a while. I'm skeptical. I have Villanova ahead of them in this tier just because I think Villanova's got a higher floor.
I agree with that.
Ooh,
yeah,
yeah. We'll talk. But
do we think Kim's the coach next year or not?
I think he is.
I think he is as well.
I think they're a bubble-ish type team this year, Jim. And I think they maybe get there, and that's enough to maybe they get one. Well, sorry. Yeah, they're a play-in team. That's my prediction. Play-in team.
I think they're going to finish like 60th, and it's going to be a real decision for whether they keep him or not. 65th.
Matthew, Fryer thoughts?
I'll add, you guys have hit most of it. Kim did talk about how they are like with the Tibaldi insertion, like pace is a big focus for them. I know last year they tried to like play faster a little bit late because the half court was so bad. So let's try and get some easy ones out in transition. I think there's a little bit like kind of a complementary football thing. Defense can help your offense. Can you generate some more turnovers, get some easy runouts? And obviously Jason Edwards should fundamentally give you a different look, that dynamic offensively in the half court if it does get bogged down. He's got to stay healthy. I just think if you take him away from this team, it's going to feel like a rerun of last year offensively. And then Duncan Powell still in college basketball, just out there doing his thing. He kind of be like
he's there.
I think he thinks he's better than he is, but he did look a little better than I thought he was last year. And I think Cole Hargrove might be my pick for the starting 5. I'd rather have him over Oswin, but maybe I'm selling the upside on Oswin.
Somehow Drexel had like 6 Power 5 guys in their team last year. Oh, who knew?
Drexel has good defender dudes. I feel like teams like just look at their team and they're in that kind of that perfect spot of not winning enough to want to stay around, but good enough to be poached.
Maddie, you're selling Oswin short. Come on, he's a great rim protector as a freshman. Add
He
another
was really
year
good last
experience.
year. Hargroves is good though. I think that's a good. They're really good at the 5. Let me reframe that. Oswin, very good, high upside. With Hargrove is like the change of pace 5. They are very set at that position, and that's a key position.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see if Tabaldi can get Kim to coach offense better instead of just pointing at the best player on the floor and say, give it to that guy. That's how I would imagine I coach like elementary school kids. That's what
Can I sneak it? I think Daquan Davis is bad.
Oh,
I agree. That's why Edwards has to be good.
Though, right? I mean, he's got room to grow.
Yep. That's just like I'm going to plant a flag on that case.
Jim, you're right. Osman's good. I thought you were saying Christ.
Oh, Isandiko is terrible. Yes. Get him out.
Yeah, right. We agree. He's terrible. I like Osman. Thank you. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
All right. Georgetown, fellas, number 6. It feels like they're missing one piece, but I do think they're going to be better this year, even without Thomas Sorber. Man, imagine if he was in this team, by the way, that they would be very, very good. Malik Mack, you got a year under your belt in the Big East. Got Curtis Williams and Ifuna? Nope.
Ifuna?
Julius. Julius H is back up front. He missed most of the
Happy to take a stab at it if you'd like, Kai. Happy to give a...
You got KJ Lewis and Langston Love coming in from the Big 12. They add size, versatility, experience. I think they're 2 really good additions. You have a couple other guys. Jeremiah Williams. I know Matthew likes him. Deshaun Harris-Smith coming over from Maryland. We'll see. Iwuchukwu. Basically a bunch of high pedigree guys that haven't done much, except for Jay Will. He's a little more proven. Isaiah Abraham was also a top 100 guy from UConn. And Ed Cooley, man. Hey, he's improved a little bit. He got over 100 spots better last year in KenPom at Georgetown. Matthew, does he get into the Cooley zone this year? Does he push for the tournament? What do you think about the Hoyas?
Yeah, I mean, this team with Sorber would be like, we could be talking about tier 2, maybe, tier 1's probably a stretch, but I mean, just go through the lineup, right? KJ Lewis, Langston Love, like starting guards on top 10, 15 teams, like winning players. I mean, I know Deshaun Harris-Smith was kind of a flame out at Maryland, but I think he's got talent. Jeremiah Williams was a guy. You don't like him, Jim? Is that okay? Jeremiah Williams, I still believe in his talent. I think he was on a crappy situation last year at Rutgers. I think he was actually better the year before when they didn't have the 5-star dudes. And I think you kept the good side. Like Julius H looked great in their foreign tour. I mean, this is a deep, older, feels like more of a Cooley type team. And I think they're going to get back to defending. I think he was sick and tired of freshmen, like just over it, as many coaches who fall prey to that seduction are. I think this is the tournament team from this tier.
Man,
I feel better about that than Providence.
It could get there. I think you need 30 games out of Langston Love to do it, and I don't think that's going to happen.
He's never healthy.
He was already hurt this offseason, and I can't rely on it. KJ Lewis is going to be a stud. There's a lot of like mini PV talk with him where he's obviously not as big as Micah Peavy, but similar-ish type of game where they're very defensive, mid-range assassin type guys. I don't think he's going to shoot 40% from 3 like Peavy did last year, but I think he'll be their best player. Malik Mack's a nice scorer. I'm not as big of a buyer on Halifanua up front. I want to see a little bit more before I push my chips in. I do think the defense will be solid. They're big, and KJ Lewis is a great addition on that end. Mack is a little better than expected or better than you think when you look at his slight frame, but Kai's still a little limited offensively for me, and I'll put them in the Cooley zone, but like bubbly and likely wrong side of bubble for me.
I think I'm with you, Jim, on overall ranking. Okay, that was Georgetown. Villanova, number 7 for me, higher for Jim, as he said. The bad man is gone. Kyle Neptune is gone. He is no longer the coach here. He went 31-29 in the Big East. He made no tournaments. His average KenPom rank was 48. Villanova's KenPom program rank is 11. Jay Wright's average was 25, and he had some developmental years. Suffice to say, it didn't really work out for Neptune. Kevin Willard's in this roster. His first roster is very weak. He brought in Devin Askew. That is a choice. I don't know why he did that. Now Devin Askew is hurt a little bit. I think he's uncertain timetable right now. Never wished injury. Just saying it's not that big of a blow to the Villanova outlook here. They needed Caden Lewis, their freshman point guard, to be good immediately. They need a big leap from Tyler Perkins, who was a very good Ivy League player at Penn. Took a much smaller role last year, obviously. Need him to step up. Willard's defensive floor is pretty good, I think. Duke Brennan was the WAC Defensive Player of the Year for Grand Canyon. Zion Stanford, Bryce Lindsey are underrated ads. And then Matthew Hodge, Jim. Matthew Hodge was probably going to start last year, or at least fight for starts. He was academically ineligible. He is eligible now. So there's some stuff to like here. I just don't like the roster overall. And I think they're a year away from getting back to the tournament.
Yeah, it's a mushy roster. And I think I said I had Providence around like 60. I think I have Villanova like 50th, 55th, like not a great shake ahead of them. I just think the floor is fairly high with Willard conducting the defense. A lot hinges on Lewis, like you said. I think there's quite a bit of hype for him, and he was at one point like a top 20 recruit and just kind of slid down for whatever reason. But I think he's going to be a big time featured piece here. I do not mind the Askew knee sprain indefinite timetable because, Matt, that gets your boy Bryce Lindsey on the court
That's
more.
right.
I believe when John Rothstein went to practice, he said he projected Askew to start over Lindsey, and I was like, that's a problem. I don't like that. That's bad news. So I like this better, and I think it sets up better for the team. Brennan's just a fine interior piece, not going to block shots, but he's going to be in the way. He knows verticality. I just think it's stable to me. I don't think the floor is high. I don't think this team's cracking the top 35, but like somewhere between 40th and 65th is where they land, and I'll land right in the middle with like 52nd.
Yeah, I'll double the Bryce Lindsey. I think is critical. I think he's just a lot better than people are giving him credit for, and could be an absolute like game changer for a backcourt that has a little bit of, I mean, not risk, but unprovenness. We talk about freshman point guards starting day one, and I don't know. It makes me. I know Lewis looks the part. He feels like he's going to be good to go, but I think he needs a good supporting perimeter cast around him to feel better about that. So it's like the deepest but flattest roster in the league. So to Jim's point, the floor feels high, but like I do feel like you go down to like Palmer and who's the other Maryland guy they brought in? Like I know those guys were
Pare,
fringe
Pierce.
last
Yeah.
year. I think they're a lot better than the fact they didn't play because they didn't play last year because Maryland was really good and they only played the crab five. So I think those guys there's more upside there. So this is a very deep roster, and I think from that end it's a high floor. But man, I struggle to see the upside that Georgetown or Bill or Providence has.
51, 37, 56, and Jim projects 52 for Willard. Are Villanova fans angry if they have a Neptune year or worse? Or
I
do
don't
they
think so because
understand?
I think they know that this is not like Neptune's rosters were awesome, and
Yeah,
this
they
is
were.
not an awesome roster. So
Except
yeah,
last year. Okay. Butler is number 8 for me. Yeah, Jim mentioned Mata has beaten his KenPom rank 3 straight years, all 3 years. He just has tepid expectations every single year, modest expectations, and it feels like Butler's kind of
modest.
it feels like they're stuck in neutral. These rosters aren't bad, but they're not good enough to get in at large, and that's kind of the case this year. Jalen Jackson comes in from Purdue Fort Wayne. I think he scores a lot. Finley Bizjack, I actually think has a lot of potential. He was impressive late last year. Butler, Ajayi, both solid ads. Drayton Jones from South Carolina State, solid ad up front. Not Johan Traore, who has been horrible over his career despite being a 5-star somehow out of high school. He's bad. Matt, it's just another uninspiring Butler squad to me. Reasonably stable floor, very limited ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you start to get to the Jimmies and Joes just don't quite stack up. It's hard to make a bullish case that they're going to crack the middle tier. I guess within those confines, what I think is a pretty narrow range of outcomes. I do kind of like some of the guys they added. I don't like Traore. I think Drayton Jones is supposed to be pretty good. Again, I didn't watch a ton of MEAC ball last year. They were just so limited athletically, I thought, last year. They tried to go with a bunch of size, and if the point guard situation gets figured out, everyone loves Finley when he's healthy. Sure. I like Jalen Jackson. Good two-way player as well. I think he was an all-defensive guy at Horizon. So I think you're not just getting guys who can do one or two things. You're trying to find a little more two-way assets. And we'll see how the freshman class plays out, Jim. Again, this is where you get to like the deep freshman classes for Butler are 3-star, 4-stars. The deep freshman classes for the top end programs are 4 stars and 5 stars. So I don't know. I'm struggling to find some like fun optimism here. And Kai, of course, another Drexel ad with your boy Yame Butler,
I
of
know
course.
it's insane. I don't get it.
Feeder system. Yeah, I mean, like Jason Drake's not going to play at Indiana, but Butler like is probably going to start here, be a like important shot maker slasher on the wing. Bizjack is fun. I'm curious how good he is. Like I'm looking at his splits last year. They were 9.5 points better per 100 on offense when Bizjack played, and they were 9 points worse on defense. I think that checks out when I watch Finley Bizjack. He gives a lot away defensively while adding a lot offensively. Love the gambles in the front court with Ajayi, like bet on talent.
Yeah, I
Obviously
like
didn't
that
work out
pickup.
at Gonzaga, and that should be, I guess, like an eyebrow raiser if things don't work out at Gonzaga. Everybody works out at Gonzaga. That's a little concerning. And Drayton Jones, I like to bet on the translation. I know it's a huge step up in level, but man, his like per minute numbers are beastly. He lives at the free throw line. I think you can play drop coverage with him and have him seal at the rim and be solid in that regard. They definitely lose some shot making with Pierre Brooks and Jamil Telfort, but yeah, if you can get a little bit out of Jack McCaffrey, the Fran's
Yeah,
son, the
another one.
forgotten Fran's son, and Kai's stink. Hey,
Stink
Xavier
Robinson.
Robinson stink.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of that nickname. So that part is fun. It's just kind of thin, and if like the Ajayi gamble doesn't really hit, then they're just gonna sit at like ninth. Not a ceiling team at all. Like I don't know how they crack the top 50.
gotta be tough in the dating world. They call me Stink. Oh, all right. Well, it's been a lovely evening. We we move on from Butler. We head to Xavier. Sean Miller once again. He parlayed what was an underachievement last year into the Texas job. Congratulations. This roster sucks. I'm gonna say it right out loud. It sucks. Even when Posada was healthy, it sucked. He's out till January. He was probably going to be their best scorer coming from Evansville. That's a huge blow. So they're relying on All Right. They're relying on Messina Moore from Montana to score. They're relying on Roddy Anderson to be point guard. He's been horrible throughout his career. Horrible. Somehow a tier starter, but never very good. Interior's bad too. Anthony Robinson barely played for Virginia. I like Trey Carroll, but defense is a question mark. Borva Cannon has potential, but again, it's potential. Defense is going to suck, Jim, in my opinion, and I don't like this roster. Xavier's KenPom low is 81, and it's in KenPom's history. Do they break that record this season?
It's a very fun question. I don't know. It's going to be under threat a little bit here, especially if Pizzato misses even more extended time. I know he was inefficient at Evansville, but the like other two best players on that team were big men, and it just didn't make sense at all. Now he's got a little bit more guard talent, maybe. I don't know. I'm with you, Kai. I think Roddy Anderson is like, what are we doing? Propping him up as a Biggie starter. All right, just wants to shoot. He's not going to
He's all
play
right.
point guard and set people up. Yeah, he is. He's all right. Like Trey Carroll's awesome offensively. Anthony Robinson's awesome defensively, but they are both awful on the opposite end of the floor from where they're respectable. It's an odd group, Matthew. I don't think Xavier fans really expect much. They're kind of ready for this new era, and they know that filling out this roster was difficult in this particular portal season. It's just I think they want to play the young guys, figure out if they're good, but they have a bunch of older. Like, what are you learning from Malik Messina more this year? I'm not figuring anything out with him or Roddy Anderson. I know what Trey Carroll is. He'll give you 9 points a game in 20 minutes and give away a lot on the other end. So again, it's kind of like low ceiling, kind of a lower floor if the talent, like the lack of talent really boils over. I mean, talk about going from Jalen House, Jamal Mashburn, and Donovan Dent to these guards.
Yeah.
That I don't envy that for Richard Pitino because these are not good guards.
Is this team playing defense?
No,
There's
they're
two
going
or
to be
three Summit
horrible
guys.
defensively.
Anthony
Um,
Robinson's going to have to
Trey
like
Carroll.
dominate.
You know, um,
Yeah.
this is just a bummer. This is why I hate the portals. Like, it's just some of these guys are fun major players, and three of them are just going to rot on the bench or play like 10 minutes a game. It's just like, So again, very flat, very deep, a lot of options. Get a bunch of stuff, throw it at the wall, see what sticks. I get it. Probably did with, I'm not sure how many. I guess I don't know what the key guys where they missed in the portal were. I like Isaiah Walker. He's maybe a sleeper. I
Sure.
think he could be
Yeah.
a guy, a winning player on a maybe overachieving Xavier team. Pizzato being healthy would be nice if he can get healthy, stay healthy. I think he's a better solution as a quasi point guard. But defensively, I don't like that I have defensive question marks. Um, and I'm not saying Patino's a bad defensive coach. I think Patino had awesome personnel in New Mexico. So
Yeah.
I've always been a Patino defender. I think people take for granted the personnel, which is to his credit. I think he's a good talent evaluator. I just don't know if he did a nice job this offseason, given the limitations of a short timeline and a frenetic portal turn.
Yeah, I'd say he did a horrible job. I didn't know the limitations, but I think they're outside top 100 defense. And
I'm just saying timeline. It just feels like, with Willard, it felt
yeah, sure.
late.
That's true.
But whatever.
Well, yeah.
Actually, I don't know. When was he hired? Was he hired? I don't know. It just the first year
I don't know
coaches
when
just don't
Miller
have as
got
much
hired.
time. It's kind
Like
of
a little
tougher
before the
rebuild.
Final Four. Yeah.
It's a transition year. Again, though, Xavier, they're used to being good. 81 is their low in KenPom. There's not a lot of teams that have not finished outside the top 100. We looked at it during the offseason.
I believe Will said 6. It's like Duke, Kentucky. I mean, it's all like blue bloods. Yeah.
Crazy. They're bad. Can the next team overtake them this year? DePaul.
Yes.
Tier 4 is where we're going to start. DePaul. Look, we've said this every single year. Are they back? Okay. I'd love to see them move up. I really would. But for all the hype last year's team got, and we did like last year's team, they were still 122nd in KenPom. They were still 4-16 in the Big East. It's just not a program that's capable of winning a ton right now because they got guys back like CJ Gunn, Layden Blocker, and Jay Benson, which would be an awesome returning trio for the Missouri Valley. But it's just not for the Big East. It's just not. I do like the RJ Smith to an extent, but really the Caleb Banks from Tulane. I like the Macklin ad from Radford. It's just still a bit inexperienced of a roster. Matthew, it lacks talent, but I can see them cracking top 100 at their ceiling. I'll put their ceiling at cracking top 100.
I think DePaul did a really nice job identifying, okay, last year there's 3 guys that helped us win, and we kept them. Like, I think Holtman did a nice job of like doing you focus on trying to retain who you can realistically retain and build around that. I know we talked about Benson. I probably overhyped Benson. I do think he's a winning player though. If you have a pretty good supporting cast, gonna need some pop from the newbies, the freshmen, international guys. One of which, what was his name? Amsel got hurt. Bummer. I heard he's like kind of a big time shooter. And not to harp down like kind of not big name role players, but I think the supporting cast here is going to be big here, Jim.
Yeah, and the supporting cast isn't overly exciting to me. Like, I think RJ Smith's a nice shot maker, a guy that played in the Big 12. That helps. Caleb Banks is talented. I mean, look, there's an example of a guy who leaves Mike Woodson and breaks out in a really, really big way. So getting him back, I think, back to the power conference level is smart. Besides Cruz McClure off the bench, who I think is underrated and good, coming in as a freshman, I don't know where the depth is. Last year, I mean, they still beat KenPom ranking by like 50 spots, 40 spots. And that's with losing Skogman a ton. Like, he barely played. Enright got hurt late. They had some key injuries for guys that I think they were counting on for their style. It's going to be more of the same, though, Kai, I think, where they're pretty reliant on the 3 offensively, like 4 guys that can shoot on the floor. And you'll have some really bad performances like last year when they got blown out a few times in a row. And can they sneak up and beat somebody at home? It's not quite Creighton level where they don't have the same home court advantage and shot making as Creighton. So I don't think they can quite do that. But they lost 3 games in overtime in conference play. But I just think you'll have the lose by 40 to Villanova and then beat a couple other teams. I don't know. I think they'll crack I bet they finish 98th, Kai. That's my prediction.
My issue is nobody can shoot. They got rid of their shooters. Like RJ Smith. Okay, that's about it.
Yeah, Gunn's never been he's been a shooter that can't shoot his whole career.
He likes to gun.
I think the mega guy supposed to be a shooter.
Miljasevic.
Yes, he is a good shooter. Yes, correct.
You're right, Kai. That's why I was so bummed about the Amsel loss, because it felt like they feel like they're shooter short. And a Holtman offense, I think shooting is kind of a key element to it. So it does maybe feel like he's kind of in no man's land from his pure identity. But, he's a good adapter. I think this may not look like a classic Chris Holtman team, but I think Holtman's fine with that if he can find a way to make it work.
All right, dead last team. Here we go. Seton Hall, number 11. They're better than last year. Congratulations, Pirates. I think you're better than last year. Shaw did, I think, what he could with limited resources this offseason. I think the Bud Clark get from Merrimack is great. I think that guy is a stud. He's going to be good in this league. Simpkins and Stat McRae are your bargain level wings you bring in. Okay. Elijah Fisher, high pedigree guy, used to be a power conference player, did pretty well at Pacific last year in a worse league. And then the Parker, Sumnick, Payne, Rivera, Williams. It's like Holloway kind of went shopping at the Dollar Tree and he found some pretty good deals. And that's basically what this roster is. I could see them beating somebody, Jim, like for 9th or 10th in the conference, but for me it's 11th to start the season.
Yeah, they probably pass whichever tier 3 team gets decimated by injuries. That would be my guess. I think they'll be definitely more competitive than last year. Like they've got some adults on this team. Clark, Simpkins, State, and McRae, I think are all guys that can contribute to winners. I know State McRae was on a horrific team last year, but Bud's going to be really fun. He'll have the ball in his hands almost all the time. You just got to like find some approach offensively, Shah. I mean, you cannot be 346th in 3-point attempt rate and 358th in 2-point percentage. Like either be a shooting team or a team that slashes. Don't be bad at both. And you can't be outside the top 300 in offense if you're a Power 5 job. I don't care what your budget is. There's a bunch of teams ahead of you that had way lower budgets on offense. So you've got to figure out a way to get competent on that end. I think the defense can be solid. Clark is a great on-ball pressure guy. There, you mentioned bites at the apple at center. It's enough, Matt, where I think they will finish like 140th overall in Ken Pom and be a little more competitive, feisty, and maybe actually win a Big East game in regulation, which they did not do last year. But we'll see. It's just another lower floor because of the talent or lower ceiling.
I think there's a world this team's better than like Xavier and DePaul. Not like I'm super high on Seton Hall, but I do think the floor is maybe higher than people are giving it credit for. You're right, Jim. There's just adults on this team. And there's a lot of optionality with the depth. Again, just another very flat, a lot of quantity. You got to find, 7 or 8 winners or a top 6, 7 that works rotationally with fit. Probably going to have some injuries. Feels like Shot always has injuries. I don't know why. It just seems like maybe they just practice balls to the wall. Maybe a culture thing. I don't know. But I'm like tempted to like kind of make a bold prediction here and just say this team finishes ahead of DePaul, Xavier, and actually
they're like
Butler,
deeper than Butler. They're deeper than
Butler.
DePaul.
I agree.
Like, I don't know. Yeah,
I
think Seton Hall should
Xavier
not be your
above
default
them.
last pick. I think you can make a real case that there are 3 teams worse than Seton Hall. I'm gonna probably have Seton Hall last, but I think
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm tempted to put myself out there on behalf of Johnny Fanta's Pirates.
I see a world where Xavier finishes last, absolutely. But right now, preseason, yeah, I got to go Seton Hall. Fellas, how many tournament teams? 4 is the obvious answer. Matt, 5 or 4?
I think the line's 4. It's not 3.5. It's not 4.5. It's 4.
I think it's 4. Yeah, the line.
And I think it's 4. And I think Georgetown. I think the Hoyas are dancing.
Wow.
So you're saying 5?
In 5.
Oh, sorry. No, I am saying 5.
Wow.
I
Okay,
can't
so you're
count.
going over on the line. I'm gonna be the cop out guy and say 4. And I think it's a little closer to 3 than 5. That's where
Wow.
I'm bearish on the middle of this league. I have nobody else. I have 4 teams in the top 50. So
Alrighty, fellas, good Big East. Hey, we got one review, and then Matt's got to go to daycare. Let's knock this one out.
Matt has to take his child to daycare. Matt doesn't have to go be taken care of.
From Preston. It says, banger of a show. Didn't know the show existed before this summer. Fantastic. I'm glad you found us. Appreciate it. So he has a mailbag question for us. As a Tennessee fan, reading Rick Barnes got a lifetime contract this offseason left him with 2 questions. Number 1, how many more years does that constitute in your estimation? Number 2, what does the program look like after he leaves? Do you think it loses any shine if they don't hire another big-name coach? Well, I don't think Barnes is sticking around forever. He's pretty old. Is he pushing 70? Is he over 70?
He's over 70, yeah.
So a couple years, 3 years maybe for me in my head. I think Tennessee will continue to be a pretty solid job, though. And I am curious who they bring in. I would assume they get a bigger name, but it's hard not to be a drop-off from Barnes. He is a Hall of Fame coach, one of the best ever.
Yeah, my big thing here is don't do the like we gotta hire a Barnes guy. Don't get Michael Schwartz or Rob
English.
Lanier. Like, or English. Go get a coach who is good. That you have an SEC basketball job at this point. Those are really, really desirable. I think you can find a big name. I don't know when that search will be though. I like Barnes. Every report you hear is that he's like pretty content with how he's doing. Like he's not like on his way out the way some of these older guys were. I could see him coaching till 2029, like another 4 seasons or something. He's 71 right now. If he coached till 75, I'm not floored by that. And I agree. They've got resources. I think they will stay very competitive. Maybe not quite like the consistent top 4 in the SEC every single year like Barnes is, but just go out and find a name. Conduct a nationwide search. Don't just go with his little tree because his tree's not very good.
Don't let Barnes choose the successor.
Yes, I implore you, Knoxville administration.
How about Kim English parachute? Kimmy English parachute.
The upward parachute?
Bubblish is this year. Good enough to justify the hire, but bad enough to piss off Providence fans. Barnes is over the young movement.
Coach in waiting.
That's terrible. And then here comes Kimmy into Tennessee.
Coach in waiting. Ugh.
That's your choice, Matthew. English. Okay.
Wait, what?
That's your choice, Kimmy?
I think that's the right. I mean, I don't know who else you pick.
Yeah, there's only one option.
Byington.
Mark Byington.
Go get Mark Byington.
Yeah, that's a home run.
Yes.
Byington did a home run.
It stays a good program. Yeah, Vanderbilt sure did. Okay, thank you for joining us on the Big East Preview Podcast. Next week, we are likely coming to you live on Thursday morning because Kai, is going to Europe next week. Yeah, that's right.
Big preseason, one little jaunt around the globe.
Big trip. Probably Big 12 next week, fellas. Yes?
Yeah, you're hosting.
Yeah.
Let's get you because you're going to miss the following week.
Big 12 next week. We'll see you then. BasketUnderReview.com. Go there, check it out. We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.